Hello, YouTube, and welcome to my channel. It's your boy Savvy Coder right here. Let's get to it. So this is my first video. We're gonna do like amazing problem with LeetCode. So today we are talking about a problem called TwoSum problem. This is one of the most important problem. Personally, this has came up in three of my personal interviews. One of the interviews was with Goldman Sachs, and this comes up, way often than it should be. This is one of the easier questions. However, it makes you think about, a lot of the main core structures. So it makes you think about, if you're doing Python, it makes you think about dictionary structures, hash map structures, and, hash tables and things like that. But, not to get into too much. So let's try to solve the question. So, all right. So one of the most important thing about solving any question is reading that question. Right? So that does not sound too complicated, but trust me, I've been in a situation where you do not read the question correctly. You do not ask the questions that you need to ask in order to understand the question correctly, and you get into solving that problem, and you're coding it away for like 15 minutes, and after that you realize that okay, that's not the way your interviewer wanted you to code it, so you have to start all over again, right? So remember, with your dream companies, you only get 1 hour. If you're lucky, you get 1 hour. Most of the time, you get like 30 minutes. So you have to ask as many questions as you can. Also, read questions very carefully. It has a lot of clues in it to help you solve your question, right? So, all right, let's read it. So we got given an array of integers, return indices of the two numbers such that they add up to a specific target. Remember here, so we are returning indices. We are not returning those numbers per se, right? We are returning indices here. So one of there could be multiple variant of this question. One of the variant could be, return yes or no, or true or false if you find, specific target or two values that comes out to the target. Those could be variants here. There could be multiple different variants. So another thing could be like, as you can see, like the array is sorted here. There could be unsorted array, and so there could be different variants of this question basically. So read it. Let's read it. So you may assume that each input would have exactly one solution. This is important right here. There is exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice. So what this thing means, right? This is perhaps the most important thing about this question. So basically, um, you know, first important thing, we are returning indices. So we're returning 0 and 1. So in this question right here, so our target is 9. We have some array, right? So we are returning 2 and 7, that adds up to 9. Therefore, we are returning indices of 2, which is 0, indices of 7, which is 1. And that's what we're trying to return, right? So now, remember this, there's exactly one solution. So once you find 2 and 7 to be 9, there are no other solutions to look for. So at that point, whatever loop you have, you stop. You break that loop, get out of there, you return that answer, that's it, done. Right? So also another thing is like, let's say your target is 4, right? For example, so you shall not return 2 and 2 to be 4. So you cannot have like 0, 0, which equals to be 4. Right? So those are two important things. There could be, multiple more scenarios. Remember to ask questions. All right, so let's get to different variant of that particular question. So basically, in this one, you have target to be 18, right? So think about this. So first approach, I personally believe to, talk about brute force approach with your interviewer. Just talk about it, don't code it. Talk about the brute force approach. That will help you think further. That will help you come up with more questions, right? So in a brute force scenario with this question, we know that there's exactly one solution. So what we could do is we could start from some I. We could go on for j value up until like however many value we have, and we try to add those values. So let's say we have I here, and we would have like j that will like, go on here. So basically we'll add those values. So we'll say, okay, 2 plus 7, is that 18? Nope, it's not 18. So let's move on. So we'll say, like we'll do 2, 7, we'll do 2, 11, we'll do 2, 15. Nope, no luck yet. Then we'll do 2, 7, and 11. Then, we'll obviously shift our eye here and we'll move on and we'll do like, 7 and 11. We find our target to be 18. So we will return, our output will be indices of 7 and 11. So those will be I and j. So our answer shall be 1 and 2. Right, so that's our answer. So things that we remember, exactly one solution. Therefore, we stopped after we found our solution, right? So, and there cannot be I and I as your output. This is not an accepted output. Right? So those are things that you need to keep in mind. I'm just trying to hammer you. Please do write those things in an interview on the side, or like, whatever paper you're using or something. That will help you to like keep those things in mind and come up with a better solution with keeping those things in mind. All right, let's move on. Let's do another solution. Let's try to come up with a better approach here, right? So what we're trying to do here is, let's see if I could get my marker to work. All right, so what we're trying to do here is, okay, so let's go back to those good old days where we, didn't have to do calculus. So think about this. We are looking for some value, I and j, which will be indices, right? So this is our output that we're looking for. But now, we have some value. So let's say we start going through this array and we say, okay, all right, I got 2 and I add 2 with some value y, and you're telling me that's going to come down to be a target. And we know that this will be the case because there's exactly one solution, right? So we know that this is the case. So what we could, there's a better approach to do this. So basically, instead of going through and finding y by adding this, what we can do is we could just say, okay, x minus target, and we'll take absolute value of that. That should be some y, right? And we just try to look for that y in this array. When we do that, that's our answer, right? So when we find that x and y that comes down to the target, we just return indices of those values, and that's our answer, right? So it's that easy. So basically, this is what everything comes down to be, right? So now, let's try to think about a better way to code this thing, right? So the first thing you need to think about is a data structure regarding this. So what could be a data structure? We are doing Python code right now, so we will think about a data structure could be a dictionary, right? So in dictionary, we could have key value pair to be your indices, or sorry, your x values, or whatever we call it, x values. And so let's say we have 2, and value could be 0. So value could be indices attached to that. So basically, what we are querying here for is, we'll be querying here for like, for a given, so answer will be here like, 9 and 15. That'll come down to like 24. So basically, like when we get 9, we are looking for some other key value, which is equal to like, this will be. So let's say we got 9, we do 24. We'll say, okay, we're looking for 15. Do we have 15? And we'll go through this thing and we'll say, all right, so blah, 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 we got 15 at 0, 1, 2, 3. We got 15 at 3. right? And we say, okay, ding, 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 we got our answer. So we'll say, all right, we got 15. However, remember, we want indices of this answer. So we want 3, not 15. So we have to have key value pair we could do where we could do 15 that has a value attached to that with 3, and we'll return that 3 value. We do know I because we are on I. So we want to return that. So you have to think those things through before you start coding those things or before you think about those data structures. All right, so you guys get it now. All right, great. So let's get to the best part. Let's get to the coding part. All right, let's do this. All right, so basically we have a list here, we have target here, as we talked about earlier, right? So what we're trying to do here is let's create a dictionary. Sorry, did not mean to do that. Let's create a dictionary. Now we say for I in range of length of the numbers that we do have, I want you to create a dictionary of numbers I and attach that value to be the value of it, right? Or the indices of it. So we take the value, or like, as you call it, key, and attach that to be I, which is the indices of that value. All right, so we have everything in the indices as if now. Now let's get to the main part. So for J, in range of length of numbers, our array, sorry, what we are looking for is, we'll call it complement value. Complement value is equal to target minus our number J, right? So this is where we did this thing, right? So what we're doing is some complement value, which is our Y, which is equal to our target value minus our X value, or X as we call it, our J value basically. So that's where we at, and we say, okay, if complement is in dictionary dot keys. Now we say, okay, if our complement is in dictionary, and remember another thing, remember we got to make sure the indices of that complement is not equal to J. So remember those things when I told you, like we can't have I and I to be the answer, right? So that's what we're trying to look here. We say, okay, if we have complement in the keys, and we have, if it's not the same thing, if it, remember I told you about like 2 and 2 equal to 4 answer, we were trying to make sure I and I is not equal to 4, our, answer. So that's what we're looking for. And once we have that, we just return J, and our dictionary, or the the value of dictionary and complement. This is it, guys. This is that simple. Let's try to submit this and see if it works. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. All right, not bad, not bad. It works. It's great. So it's not the best solution, but it works. There is another way to do this. As you could, if you look at their solutions, there is a better way to, they call it one pass hash table, but this is completely, like acceptable solution. This works. Like, they could test your ability to code. They could test your like way of thinking. You could come up with a better data structures to like assign and things like that. So, all right, that's about it. I'm not going to go through the one pass hash table solution. You could read about that here. If you have any questions, put that in comments. And that's it, guys. It's that simple. So this has been Savvy Coder. Keep coding.